Hi there. Today we're going to talk about a variable. It's the first thing we need to understand in our algebra unit. A variable is an unknown number. It could look like a question mark. It could look like a letter of our alphabet, or it could look like a symbol, like an empty box, waiting for a number to fill its space. We're never going to solve for the variable in 5th grade. All you need to be able to understand is how to write a number sentence, an expression, or an equation using a question mark, a letter, or a symbol as your variable, your unknown number. Let's look at an example. You have 3 more than me. You have to think there's something in here that we just don't know. 3 more of something. To me, that feels like 3 plus. I'm adding 3 more onto whatever it is that I have. Well, what do I have? I don't know. This is where I use my variable. It's almost like saying there's some number underneath that cup. I don't know how much it is, but what I do know is however much I have hidden under this cup, you have 3 more than I do. That's an example of using a variable in an expression. Let's try one more. I have 4 bags of chips. Each bag has B chips. I don't know everything, but I do know that I have 4 bags. Each bag has the same number of chips. That number is B. We don't know. It feels to me like I'm going to repeat that B number 4 times, which is multiplication, repeated addition. My first bag has B chips. My second bag has B chips. Third bag, also B chips. And fourth bag, you guessed it, B chips. I don't know how many chips are in that bag, but it feels to me like 4 times my variable. 4 times some number. Those are both expressions, meaning there is a number, an operation, and a missing variable amount that I don't know yet. In this case, it's B, 4 times B. We call this an expression because it does not have an equal sign. I don't have an amount at the end, and I don't really need to figure out what B represents. All I need to be able to do is say 4 times B is the mathematical way for writing this situation. So what if I do have an equal sign? We call that a different thing. That's called an equation. So let's look at an example. Jordan walked 3 miles today. He wants to walk 10 miles by the end of the week. Write an equation using a variable to show the miles. Well, I know that Jordan walked 3 miles. He wants to walk 10 by the end of the week. That feels like by the end of my number sentence, I should be up to the number 10. So what's happening in between here? I don't know. So my first thought is what operation it feels like I'm using in this problem. To me, it feels like he's going to be adding some number on. I don't know how much, so this is where my variable comes in. I'm adding some number onto 3, and it's going to give me 10. Now again, I don't need to know what that number is going to be. I just need to be able to write it in a mathematical sentence. Let's try another example. Mrs. Regan has B pencils. If she shares them evenly with 5 students, each student will get 3 pencils. How many pencils did Mrs. Regan have? Pause the video here if you want to try and write this equation on your own before listening to the answer. Here's how we can work through the problem. Mrs. Regan has B pencils. If she shares them evenly, which to me feels like division, with 5 students, she has B pencils and she is sharing them with 5 students. Each student will get 3 pencils. At the end of my situation, a student is going to end up with 3 pencils. So that sounds like equals 3. How many pencils did Mrs. Regan have? I don't really need to know, but I do need to be able to write it using my variable B divided by 5 equals 3. That is my equation. So now it's your turn to try it. Write your own equations for the following situations. Number 1, you have 13 Skittles. Your friend eats K Skittles. Now you have 4 Skittles. Pause the video and write an equation showing that situation. Did you try it on your own? Did you get 13 minus K equals 4? If you did, good job. You had 13 Skittles. Your friend eats K of them. We don't know how much. Remember, it could be hiding underneath our cup for a variable. But we do know that we have to write it in a number sentence, so we use the variable K. After your bad friend comes and eats your Skittles, you end up with 4 of them. 13 minus K equals 4. Here's your next situation. Each daisy has P number of petals. You buy 5 daisies and have a total of 35 petals. Pause the video and write an equation to represent this situation. Did you try it on your own? Did you get P times 5 equals 35? If you did, great job. I have a number of petals on a flower. I don't know how many petals there are, but I know that it's going to be the same number 5 times, repeated addition. At the end, if I count up all of my petals, it's going to give me 35. P times 5 equals 35. Now you understand your idea of a variable. How else could you use a variable? Could you write your own situation and write an equation that uses a variable to show your unknown number? If you can, great job. Feel free to try the video again if not.